Welcome, everyone. If you've ever felt like your background defines your future, if you've ever believed that where you come from determines where you can go, if you've ever thought that humble beginnings mean limited endings, then this story will change everything you believe about possibility. Because today, you're going to hear about a boy who sold tea at a railway station and grew up to lead the world's largest democracy. A boy who had no wealth, no connections, no privilege, but had something far more powerful: the hunger to transform himself and his nation. This is not just a political story. This is a story about human potential, about resilience, about the power of believing in yourself when the entire world sees you as ordinary. So listen carefully, take notes if you want, and most importantly, let this story remind you that your starting point doesn't determine your destination. Your decisions do. Now, let's begin. The story starts in a small town called Vadnagar in Gujarat, India. The year is 1950. The country has just gained independence, still recovering from centuries of colonial rule. And in this town, in a modest home, a boy is born. His name is Narendra Damodardas Modi. His father runs a small tea stall near the railway station. The family has very little money. They live in a simple house with limited resources. Young Narendra grows up watching his father work long hours, serving tea to travelers, earning just enough to feed the family. And from a very young age, this boy understands something most children don't have to think about. Life is hard. Survival requires effort. Nothing comes easy, but here's what makes this beginning important. Narendra doesn't see poverty as a prison, he sees it as a teacher. He watches his father serve people with dignity. He learns the value of hard work. He learns that respect isn't given by birth. It's earned through character. And even as a young boy, he starts helping his father at the tea stall. He stands there pouring tea, talking to passengers, listening to their stories. He's not ashamed. He's not hiding. He's learning. Every conversation at that tea stall becomes a lesson. Every person he meets teaches him something about the world. And while other children might see this as a burden, Narendra sees it as an education. Because he understands something powerful. You don't need a fancy school to learn about people. You just need to pay attention. Now, let's talk about his early education. Narendra is a bright student, not because he has private tutors or expensive books, but because he has curiosity. He reads everything he can find. He studies under streetlights when there's no electricity at home. He walks miles to school because there's no money for transportation. And despite all these challenges, he excels. His teachers notice something special about him. He doesn't just memorize facts. He questions them, he debates, he thinks deeply. He's not satisfied with surface-level answers. He wants to understand why things are the way they are. And this habit of questioning, this refusal to accept things blindly, becomes the foundation of his future leadership. But then something happens that changes everything. At the age of 17, Narendra makes a decision that shocks his family. He decides to leave home, not because he's running away from responsibility, but because he's searching for purpose. He feels a pull toward something bigger than his small-town life. He wants to understand India. He wants to serve his country. So he walks away from his family, from comfort, from the predictable path of marriage and a simple job. And he begins wandering across India. Alone, with almost no money, sleeping in temples, railway stations, sometimes on the streets, eating when food is available, going hungry when it's not. This period of his life is like a spiritual journey. He travels to the Himalayas. He meditates. He studies philosophy. He meets monks, scholars, and ordinary people from every corner of India. And during this time, something inside him transforms. He realizes that India is not just a country, it's a civilization. Ancient, diverse, full of potential, but also struggling, divided, poor. And he makes a silent promise to himself. One day, I will serve this nation. One day, I will help India rise. After 2 years of wandering, Narendra returns. But he doesn't go back to his family. He joins an organization called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, known as RSS. This is a volunteer-based organization focused on national service and cultural values. For Narendra, it's not about politics. It's about discipline, structure, a way to channel his energy toward something meaningful. He becomes a full-time volunteer. He lives in simple quarters. He wears basic clothes. He has no salary, no personal wealth. But he has something more valuable, a sense of mission. And here, he learns the skills that will define his future. He learns organization. He learns how to mobilize people. He learns how to communicate with clarity and passion. He learns that leadership isn't about authority, it's about service. And most importantly, he learns patience. Because for the next 30 years, Narendra Modi works behind the scenes. No fame, no recognition. Just quiet, relentless work. In the 1980s and 1990s, Modi takes on various organizational roles within the RSS and later the Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP. He's not a speaker on big stages yet. He's the person organizing events, managing logistics, solving problems, making sure everything runs smoothly. He's the backbone, not the face. And during this time, people who work with him notice something. This man never gives up. When a task seems impossible, he finds a way. When resources are limited, he improvises. When others get tired, he keeps going. He works 18-hour days. He sleeps 4 or 5 hours a night. He doesn't complain. He doesn't make excuses. He just delivers. And slowly, quietly, he builds a reputation, not as a politician, as a problem solver, as someone who gets things done. Then comes the year 2001. A massive earthquake strikes Gujarat. Thousands of people die. Entire villages are destroyed. The state is in chaos, and the government struggles to respond effectively. It's a humanitarian disaster. And in this moment of crisis, the BJP leadership makes a decision. They need someone strong to lead Gujarat. Someone who can rebuild the state. Someone with organizational skills, determination, and the ability to handle pressure. They choose Narendra Modi. And on October 7, 2001, he becomes the Chief Minister of Gujarat. For the first time in his life, at age 51, Narendra Modi steps into the spotlight. Not because he sought fame, but because his decades of quiet preparation have led to this moment. And now, the real test begins. Modi's early years as chief minister are extremely challenging. The earthquake recovery is massive. Resources are limited. And just months into his leadership, in 2002, communal riots break out in Gujarat. Violence spreads across the state. Hundreds die. It's one of the darkest chapters in Gujarat's history, and Modi faces intense criticism. People question his handling of the situation. The media attacks him. Opposition parties blame him. International observers condemn the violence. For many leaders, this would be the end. The pressure would crush them. They would resign. They would give up. But Modi doesn't run. He doesn't hide. He faces the criticism head-on. He focuses on restoring peace. He works day and night to rebuild trust, and he makes a decision. He will let his work speak louder than his words. He will prove himself through results, not rhetoric. And that's exactly what he does. Over the next decade, Modi transforms Gujarat. He focuses on infrastructure. Roads are built. Electricity becomes reliable. Industrial corridors are developed. He invites businesses to invest in Gujarat. He cuts bureaucratic red tape. He makes it easier to start companies and create jobs. He implements innovative policies. He brings solar energy projects. He develops ports and special economic zones. He improves water management in drought-prone regions. And slowly, Gujarat's economy starts growing faster than most other Indian states. Industries flourish. Employment increases. The state's GDP rises significantly. And people notice, not just in Gujarat. Across India, people start talking about the Gujarat model of development. They see a state that was broken after the earthquake, now thriving. They see efficient governance. They see a leader who works relentlessly, who doesn't take vacations, who doesn't care about personal comfort, who only cares about results. But here's what makes Modi different from many politicians. He understands communication. He doesn't just do good work. He tells people about it. He uses technology. He embraces social media before most Indian politicians even understand what it is. He connects directly with citizens. He bypasses traditional media and speaks to people through digital platforms. He holds regular video conferences with village leaders. He launches initiatives that bring government services closer to people. And he builds a personal brand, not through arrogance, but through consistency. Every speech he gives focuses on development, on progress, on India's potential. He doesn't attack opponents personally. He compares his work with their work. He shows data. He shows results. And people start believing this man is different. This man actually cares about making things better. By 2013, Modi has been chief minister for 12 years. Gujarat is considered one of India's most business-friendly states, and the BJP is looking for a prime ministerial candidate for the 2014 national elections. The party is divided. Some leaders support Modi. Others oppose him because of the 2002 riots. There are doubts. Can a regional leader become a national leader? Can someone from a small town connect with India's diverse population? Can a tea seller's son become prime minister? But Modi's supporters see what others don't. They see a leader with a proven track record. They see someone who can energize voters. Someone who can present a vision of a new India. And after much debate, the BJP announces Narendra Modi as their prime ministerial candidate. And the moment that announcement is made, everything changes. The 2014 election campaign becomes one of the most intense in Indian history. Modi doesn't run a traditional campaign. He runs a movement. He travels to every corner of India. He addresses hundreds of rallies. He speaks to millions of people directly, and his message is simple but powerful. India can be better. India deserves better, and I will work day and night to make India better. He talks about development, about jobs, about cleaning India, about corruption-free governance, about bringing India into the 21st century. And he connects with ordinary people. Because he is one of them, he doesn't come from political royalty. He doesn't have a famous last name. He's the son of a tea seller. And that story resonates. Millions of Indians who feel ignored by the elite, who feel that politics is only for the privileged, suddenly see someone like them. Someone who understands their struggles because he lived them. And they believe. They believe that if this man could rise from a tea stall to chief minister, then maybe India too can rise from poverty to prosperity. The results come in May 2014, and they are historic. The BJP wins 282 seats on its own, the largest mandate for any single party in 30 years. And on May 26, 2014, Narendra Modi is sworn in as the 14th Prime Minister of India. The boy who sold tea at a railway station now stands at the highest office in the world's largest democracy. It's not just his victory. It's a victory for every person who has ever been told that their dreams are too big, that their background is too humble, that their starting point is too low, because Modi's journey proves something powerful. Your circumstances don't define you, your choices do. As Prime Minister, Modi doesn't slow down, he accelerates. He launches ambitious programs. Swachh Bharat, a nationwide campaign to clean India and build toilets. Make in India, to boost manufacturing and create jobs. Digital India, to bring technology and internet connectivity to every corner of the country. Jan Dhan Yojana, to provide bank accounts to millions who never had access to formal banking. Ujjwala Yojana, to provide free cooking gas connections to poor families, reducing indoor air pollution. Ayushman Bharat, one of the world's largest health insurance schemes, and dozens of other initiatives. Some succeed brilliantly. Some face challenges, but the energy, the vision, the relentless focus on reform never stops. Modi works 16 to 18 hours a day. He rarely takes breaks. He's known for reading files late into the night, for being involved in details, for pushing his team to deliver. And internationally, he transforms India's image. He visits over 60 countries. He builds personal relationships with world leaders. He positions India as a rising global power. He speaks at the United Nations, at major international forums, always with confidence, always with pride in India's heritage and potential. In 2019, Modi runs for re-election. And once again, the people of India give him a decisive mandate. The BJP wins 303 seats, even stronger than 2014. And Modi begins his second term with even greater determination. He takes bold decisions. Article 370, which gave special status to Jammu and Kashmir, is revoked. The Citizenship Amendment Act is passed. Major economic reforms are pushed through. The COVID-19 pandemic hits in 2020, and Modi leads India through one of the most challenging periods in modern history. Lockdowns, economic disruption, health crises. And yet, his government manages the world's largest vaccination drive, administering over 2 billion doses. Not everything goes smoothly. There are protests, there are criticisms, there are failures. But through it all, Modi remains focused on his mission: to make India a developed nation by 2047, 100 years after independence. So what can we learn from Narendra Modi's journey? What lessons does his life teach us? First, your background doesn't determine your future. Modi came from poverty, no connections, no privilege, but he had ambition, he had discipline, he had the willingness to work harder than anyone else. And that made all the difference. Second, preparation happens in private. Modi spent 30 years working behind the scenes before anyone knew his name. He wasn't chasing fame. He was building skills. He was learning. He was preparing. And when his moment came, he was ready. Third, resilience matters more than perfection. Modi faced criticism, failure, and massive challenges. The 2002 riots could have ended his career, but he didn't give up. He kept working. He let his results speak. And he proved that setbacks don't define you, your response to them does. Fourth, communication is power. Modi understood early that doing good work isn't enough. You have to tell people about it, you have to connect. You have to inspire. He mastered the art of storytelling, of using social media, of speaking directly to people's hearts, and that's why his message reached millions. Fifth, vision without execution is just a dream. Modi didn't just talk about change, he implemented it. He built infrastructure, he launched programs, he delivered results, because leadership isn't about speeches, it's about action. And finally, never forget where you came from. Despite becoming Prime Minister, Modi never hid his humble origins. He talked about selling tea. He wore simple clothes. He lived modestly. Because he knew that staying connected to his roots kept him connected to the people he served. Today, Narendra Modi is one of the most recognized leaders in the world. Whether you agree with his politics or not, whether you support his policies or criticize them, one thing is undeniable: his journey is extraordinary. From a tea stall in Vadnagar to the Prime Minister's office in New Delhi, from poverty to power, from anonymity to global recognition. It's a story that proves anything is possible if you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to sacrifice for it, if you're willing to believe in yourself even when no one else does. So, if you've made it this far, let Modi's story remind you of something important. You are not limited by where you were born. You are not defined by how much money your parents had. You are not trapped by the circumstances you were given. You are only limited by the effort you're willing to make, by the vision you're willing to pursue, by the resilience you're willing to show. Because every great achievement in history started with someone who was told they couldn't, someone who was underestimated, someone who had every reason to give up. But they didn't. They kept going, they kept working, they kept believing. And eventually, they proved everyone wrong. Narendra Modi's life is not just a political biography. It's a testament to human potential. It's proof that with determination, discipline, and decades of hard work, you can rise from anywhere to anywhere. So take this story with you. Let it fuel you when things get hard. Let it remind you that your current situation is not your final destination. And most importantly, let it push you to ask yourself, if a boy from a small town with nothing could become Prime Minister, what's stopping me from achieving my dreams? The answer is nothing. Nothing except the decision to start, the courage to continue, and the refusal to quit. That's the lesson. That's the power, that's the journey. And now it's your turn to write yours. Welcome, everyone. If you've ever felt like your back